there's plenty of time to treat yourself to something good to eat at our refreshment center.
The show begins in just 4 minutes.
And now meet the star of our show. Symbol of a treat that quality made famous. America's most famous ice cream treat. Eskimo pie. Creamy, delicious ice cream made even more exciting with smooth, rich chocolate coating. And wearing the label of quality, known the world over. Eskimo pie, the treat you know is tops because it carries its pledge of quality right on the back of the bag. Be sure you save the bags for valuable premiums. Get famous Eskimo pie at our refreshment stand now. It's America's anytime taste treat. Finest ice cream, finest chocolate. It's delicious.
Hey, monstruo, quítate de aquí, quítate de aquí. Hey, monstruo, quítate de aquí, quítate de aquí. No ves que me puedo asustar.
We have a few things we need to take care of, some housekeeping, so to speak. So bear with us. We will get to all the winners, a few surprises, and some great stuff. As you know, there is a pandemic going around the world right now, and Showstopper Customs doesn't feel that he can give his 100% attention to judging at all times. So, and this is very exciting, it was exciting for Mad Reaper, it was exciting for me, we brought in the Rocco Jabroni, your mentor, and your other mentor, the NWF. And oh my gosh, It was crazy. It was fun. It was insane. And I loved every second of it.
Season 1 and 2 champions. This is, I'm so happy that they're able to be on board. And I know this was an idea we kind of had tossed back and forth earlier, but I mean, for me, it's so important that champion legacy for our existing champions 1 and 2 to crown and take a role in crowning the third. You know, I really respect their opinions. I know that that group chat that we were in was just so insightful. Like Joey was like, I've never had such a brainstorming session with so many greats, and it was really fun. That being said, it was also very tough. Like a lot of these,
it was stressful.
Yeah, it was a lot of these. You know, in the amateurs, some of them really brought it, and then for the pros, it was really tough because there wasn't a single bad one. It was.
I'm going to say this right now in case I forget to say it later. When we were judging the professionals, there was a case made for every single challenge that was submitted, and not just a case made, but like a strong case made why they should be the winner. That's how tough the competition is.
Yeah, it really was. It was like no bad customs or no bad tattoos, and everyone really stepped up. I mean, to me personally, this was such a tough challenge because for me, I'm someone that does use a lot of decal work. You know, for my Pentagons, I used NWF's decals because they just were so beautiful and so perfect for what my final vision was. And you know, decals for me, it's an art to apply, and it's super tough to, but when you have to freehand it, you know, that's where the challenges come. There's a lot of differences in the tone, saturation, scale, you know, sizing, and then you're also like having to make subtle alterations to customize the figure. You know, like you have to accentuate it. If a tattoo goes up into here where there's a big piece of articulation, it might very well be a better stylistic choice to keep it there instead of bleeding it on. You know, you just so many different considerations that I think this is what made it so tough because it was literally like fractions, you know, differences, and so it's going to seem a little nitpicky, but it's not supposed to be at all. This is just really tough job to
as
judge.
Judges, we're used to one-on-one competition.
Yeah.
And that's a little easier because, I mean, it's head-to-head, but when you have, how many people do we have? 18?
Yeah. Jeez.
And they're all submitting great, amazing work. I mean, it's just so tough, and we're thankful that you put in so much hard work for our Showstopper Challenge.
Yeah, so we'll just go ahead and recap the rules real quick about what kind of...
just one
Go ahead.
little thing here. last week we insanely announced, that winners would get the Reaper Cup.
Yep.
They would get a gift card from Figure Giants, and a gift package from the Mad Reaper himself, customized. And Mad Reaper does not do anything small. He goes all out. If you order a figure from him, just look at the box. It's a masterpiece in itself. So
look at the shipping box, right?
And for the pros, there's $160 in money.
260.
260.
Yep.
Okay, well, we're gonna make it 300.
Oh, sweet.
So there you go. And because I troll the amateurs so hard, who I love dearly, they're a lot of fun. If you're you're not an amateur chap, but it gets completely crazy in there, and it's insane. But they're a bunch of great guys.
Man. He's really funny. I like him. Yeah.
And Mr. Milkman Customs, he's hilarious. I have to say that for legal reasons. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and put $100 toward their prize too.
Yeah, and I'll match that. So this the champions got something too, or the amateurs got something too. I'm just really excited. I mean, this I was telling Pat, like, this energy is really infectious. Like, for me, it really makes me want to customize more. Just hearing like the enthusiasm of like, hey, I want to do this. When is the next challenge and whatnot? So that being said, I
want to read just one thing really quickly.
No, go ahead.
This came out of Amateur Chat, and I won't say the name because it's a heartfelt message. He said, I just thought I'd say that I really appreciate everyone's help and acceptance through this tough time. Even though I'm at home, I feel like I'm not alone, so thank you all for being so awesome. And I think that symbolizes what we were trying to do by bringing the Custom Underground back when we did. And so
absolutely,
I just wanted to read that.
No, absolutely. It's really, I didn't know I was going to have this much fun again, but I'm glad. So our Showstopper Challenge here, I'll go ahead and pull up this graphic, and we'll be able to see here what we're looking at. Okay, so the main Showstopper Challenge rules here. 72 hours to complete. Nobody gets eliminated. A winner in each division gets to choose which advantage they want. So it's an either-or thing. The first challenge is the best hand-painted tattoo. Big or small, any tattoo complexity, any location, completely the combatant's choice. The advantages they get to choose from if they win. These are game-changing. I know a lot of people might not want to, or might kind of like... There's an X factor.
It's completely insane that you can have an extra 72 hours to compete. Or you can change your opponent. If you think you got a tough matchup and maybe someone else might be a little weaker, it changes the whole bracket. So
absolutely. I mean, and just even our YouTube, people talking about like the matchups. I mean, the matchups are so exciting. So that being said, we'll kind of go ahead and start flipping through them. I don't have them quite organized as much, but maybe what we'll do is go ahead and flip through all of them, and whether someone's amateur or not, we'll discuss that. And then at the end, we'll go ahead and tell everyone our decision. Alright, can we see it? I'm going to make it a little bit bigger here.
There we go.
Okay, so this is Havoc Figs. He's an amateur. He's in the amateur bracket, right? I'm pulling this up. Mm-hmm. Havoc Figs is going up against Strong Style Customs. And to be fair, everyone here, this is 72 hours challenge. A lot of people are in the same boat as me, don't really hand paint a lot of tattoos. And so, this is a no judgment kind of thing here, because everyone tried, and the people that tried, hey, it's a shot in the dark. This is what this challenge is supposed to be made of.
And it's a lot harder than you think to get the perfect saturation, the perfect colors, the perfect location, the perfect size. Just scaling it alone is complex. So, yeah.
It's so tough. And so Havoc Figs did this Cody-inspired neck tattoo. And so you can see a little closer here.
And again, they were allowed to put it at any location they wanted to.
And one of the things, going forward into the pros, I kind of talked about this here, and not to pick a Havoc Figs at all, but, like these kind of spots here, the overall sharpness is what we're looking for, but it's still a really good attempt. It's a complex design, especially for an amateur to try to tackle, but honestly, he got the colors in there, he's got some of the stars, it's readable, I can see the face, but just a little bit thicker, and that's the tough part with a lot of line work. Even in real tattoos, these things are like needles and stuff, so it's really tough to get a straight, crisp line. That's really the challenge here that we're looking for. DWO did this amazing tattoo on the Specia 666. I think it looks really similar to how the real one does look, and this is all hand painted. I really like the details in the background. I really like the behind the letters, some of the shading, I guess. It's like the real tattoo. Figure. Yeah, no, the whole figure's amazing.
Insane. But yeah, the tattoo's definitely awesome. I love how, like you say, there is a little bit of that background in there. Yeah. You combine that really well. I agree.
And then we got, here we go. We got, let's see here. We got, this was, I think, Unstable. But this is a back tattoo design. Again, this is a little tough. This is on the amateur side. Definitely, I can see where it's going. It's just a little bit thick. So
that's another thing. You have to have like 20 different brushes because and Rocky Jabroni was talking about this. Just a brush itself is a complex thing. Do you want a thicker brush up top? Do you want a thinner? Do you want to have one of those little things that helps your fingers, or do you want a thicker brush down below? Do you want a thinner brush? I mean, it's just it's complex being customizer. It's harder than you think by far.
It really is. I mean, I'm trying to get some brushes privately made so we can sell them on Figure Giant, like some eye brushes, for these fine line works. Because I got a few that I absolutely love, but some of them are like $20 a brush, like my Tamiya, whatever. I'm not a race car guy, but that brand, Tamiya, makes some great detail brushes, and they're like their professional line is like $25 a brush, but
wow,
worth it, I mean, for me, I guess. But that's also, going back to the care package, that's a lot of cool things that I want to throw into this, is like a lot of these rare kind of little tools that are kind of obnoxious, but like once you have them in your hands, they're really fun to use. Let's go to this Scott Steiner piece. This was by Turbo.
This saturation, I think, is just about as perfect as you can get.
This is definitely a pro level tattoo. The I don't want to say black because he did it perfectly. In a real tattoo, there's no black. It's always gray, right? Because it's blending into the skin, it's healing. So I think he really nailed this. The color of the saturation. This was one of my top picks.
This was I think a top 3 for almost all judges. So.
Yeah, and if you look at the line work, super crisp. Going over the curves are super difficult. I mean, the choice of a basic torso actually accentuates the artwork so much better. And then the shading in the heart here, you can see these darker reds where he goes in right above the bright hardline highlights. And then he's also got really subtle white, like lighter red highlighting that's not so hard done inside the heart. So I can really appreciate how much work went into this tattoo by Turbo Toys, because it's something that it's really tough for me, and I'm not a Rockers Brony. I'm a decal. I prefer decals. If I'm given the choice between tattoos, my preferred choice is to apply decal and then do a layer of skin over it with my airbrush. Not everyone can do that. This is a great. This achieves a lot of the similar result, the end result, and it's all due to the Turbo Toys' color choices, which were desaturated and really look like they live in the skin, not just sitting on top of it. So you see more angles here, brilliantly done. Rated R here, we'll do a Kevin Owens. I'm really liking this too. He's blending in with this. That being said,
this really nicely done.
This is what's tough. The design and the penmanship is really close. It's really spot on. I like how it blends in. I don't like how the original tattoo is a different color, and that's one of the things where it's a nitpicky. It's not a bad thing at all, but it is one of those things that catches your eye, and when your eyes jolted out of this illusion from being seduced by the sexiness of a tattoo, it's like, oh wait, okay, I can see where the original one is at. And it doesn't take anything away from the overall execution. I wish the rest of that tattoo was the same color as the bull. And
these are things that we're putting forward because of this competition. We want everyone to grow and to get better, and just come out of this feeling that they got some great advice and that they're a better person for having been through the competition.
Absolutely. That being said, this is rated R's, and for being in the amateur bracket, I'm very impressed because the details that he did pull out there, it's all really legible, and I'm a fan of it. It's really nicely
close
well done.
together and everything, so it's really hard to do. Yeah.
And then strong style here. This one was one out of left field. A lot of the judges. And this is the last and only competition. Oh, Showstopper might be able to judge a few of the other Showstopper challenges, but he doesn't feel like he can give 100% to the full figures. So that being said, he did weigh in on our decision on this. So when we do give our final scores at the end of our winners, it is going to be Pat, Showstopper, the NWF, and Rock and Jabroni being the 5 that we're going on. And strong style was definitely up there because it was such a huge tattoo. And a lot of people had a lot of good things to say about it, me included. I mean, Pat definitely, mine included. I did have one gripe, though, and that wasn't a bad thing, but it had to do with the black again. And you know, that's just a nitpicky thing because if you look at the scaling, the placement of this, I'm definitely a fan. The way he does,
I like how he went over the articulated part.
That's exactly, you picked up right what I was gonna say. I mean, we were talking earlier about that articulation. This is a way that it's done right, where it really kind of hides the articulation and it accentuates this bigger cane torso, which I also think is the perfect torso for Luchasaurus. Not that we were judging on that at all, but I think it really. You know, when you take a step back and you're looking at it in its complete form, it really helps provide the real estate for this piece.
I love how I just pointed at it, like, you know, people can see what I'm pointing at on my screen.
I do all that. I do that all the time. With the little highlights here in the green too, I really like that. There's not as many in this red highlight, but there is up here. I wish this red would have faded off.
So you're saying that the black should be a little more like grayish?
Yeah, so for black, you know, for tattoos, when I do have to draw them, one of the things that I do is I start off with a mixture of black and skin tone, thinking of in the real life aspect of it, like my skin, my real tattoos get faded and layers of skin grow over them, so it's always it's never black, you know? That's the challenge between trying to get a really good black tattoo is keeping that black in. But inevitably it's going to fade, and I really like this tattoo, and the only thing is just the color. You know, I would have desaturated it a little bit, but that's not at all taking anything away, because it really is a great tattoo. And the rest of the pros, too.
That line work.
Yeah, the line work from this thin
stuff.
No, I
mean on the next one that you just briefly showed. Look at that line work.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and go to Elite, but Elite's also in the amateur category, but this was also one of my top picks because of first of all, the subject matter is what a cool tattoo. This looks like it should have been on the figure all along, to be honest, and you can see it right there in all this glory. It just looks badass. So I think Elite nailed this out of the park, and everyone really liked it.
Mattel actually did it.
Yeah, and everyone really liked it too. I mean, I think it's what was so tough is that some just picked a little bit tougher tattoo, but man, Elite flawless execution. This gets an A+ from me, you know, and that's just how good it is. Everyone liked it, so can't say enough good things there. I'm really happy to have him in the competition.
That's amazing.
Sharp line work here. You could tell he really made a point. See what I did there? To make points, and it really shows. It's beautiful. So great work.
And again, very clean. That's very important.
Really clean. And so we got Forbidden Figures here, which, you know, in our group chat, I'm not going to out or say any names, but in our amateur group chat, they were like, hey, I got something fun. Who do you think's going to win the pros? And, you know, the usual suspects come up, but then there was a few like, holy shit, I've never seen Forbidden Figures work. He's definitely a dark horse. So that's what's really cool about this competition. We're all seeing new customizers that we haven't known of. And he chose the Alistair Black's back piece, and I could tell you from first-hand experience trying to paint this multiple times, he killed it. Because it's such a hard tattoo to do. That being said, the saturation is always really tough to get. But on a tattoo like this, it's just so beautiful that you can see the shading. Here, I'll switch. So you can really see here the white highlights. That looks like white skin. It looks more like real skin than Mattel skin does.
And when Matt Reaper made it, he only swore 4 times. by four.
Yeah. And the first one was way worse than this.
It's really difficult tattoo, and it came out beautiful. I just want to say
the scaling is just so hard to hit because depending on how Alistair is stretched, it can extend his whole back or it just looks like a face. But you see the kind of water color looking shading in here. He's got some whip shading like a tattoo. He's got some pointillism in here. Excuse me. And then the shading here from light green on the edges into the rich greens, and then this is like I can't talk. This goes into like a forest green here. So you actually have two different shades of green. And then coupled with the edge highlighting here on his nose and the tip of it, which is so much like a real tattoo because putting in white in a tattoo is really what makes it pop and putting it off the skin. It's that contrast between the color and then the light that really makes any portrait, even if it's black and white, off to that new level. But I'm such great execution here. So he gets an A+ as well. Forbidden Figs.
I'm learning so much about tattoos that I never knew.
I know. I'm a collector of ink, so I was really excited for this challenge because it's tough. It's a really tough thing to do. Skull King. Oh man, speaking of awesome tattoos, I personally,
the location of that alone is difficult.
Coming from me, I love this tattoo. I love this figure, and I can't wait. I don't think the new page has it. I have her right here, but no, I don't think she has that tattoo. I can see why, because it's a tough tattoo, and you'll see the Skull King here going in on. See, this is what I like personally. This is a good consideration. So at a small scale, Paige's tattoo in real life is one of those pointillism kind of new age tattoos where there's a lot of thin black line work. It's a lot of fine because it can be both feminine and a masculine design, but then there's a lot of pointillism going on here where the dots will be closer together, which from a distance will make it look blacker, and then as the dots get more spaced out, it'll be shaded in here, and that's a new style. That's almost impossible to replicate at this scale, but I like what he did there by shading it in a way to where you can see spaces. They're not points, but you can see the shading in the same effect to where at this distance, as close as you can be with the naked eye, it reads as the real tattoo. And that to me is major props to Skull King. I'm a fan of this piece too.
And just the way it's lined up, the cleanliness, the sharpness of it, again, looks factory made, which is a compliment.
Yeah, absolutely. So next we got Ivy's Custom Figures here. Did two of them. Did both a Cody one and a one based off of the Jeff Hardy design here. This is the amateur bracket, but man, he really got in there too with his colors. Really impressive attempt from an amateur. The placement is correct. The size is a little small. It doesn't really seem to spread out necessarily as equally as it would, like, when you're stretching an image on the computer and you're locking it and it's maintaining that aspect, it kind of looks like this is a little skewed. So it looks like it's maybe a tad thinner than it ought to be, but all in all, you can still see the details. Pretty good attempt. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of good attempts here. There's a lot of
these amateurs
good tattoos.
Really brought it.
Yeah, and I'm just glad that everyone tried. All those who tried, thank you, because this Showstopper Challenge was an idea that we didn't know if it was going to work or not, but this was fun.
I mean, it's really hard to draw a tattoo, so whatever attempt you made, thank you. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. And so going into Anonymous here, another good one. He did the Jeff Hardy one. I like the highlights. I like the different colors, the spaces. You see a solid attempt here, but like what we're talking about here is that if you guys look at the outer lines, this is something that you guys will get better with time. But that's with everyone, right? That's with all of us. But what I really do appreciate here is that Jeff Hardy's style really plays into it, and I think he picked a really good design. I mean, you'll see a lot more too of Jeff's new back tattoo, but it's such a cool design and one that really can hide a lot of difficulties in a tattoo. It's forgiving, I should say. Mr. Milkman, I like this too because it can be as complex or as simple as you like. And the thing is that holy shit, Green Lantern, yes. I'm like, the Emerald guy. I was like, I know Green Lantern here. What's his name? I had a brain fart. Green Lantern's tattoo, obviously Mattel can't make it, but he did nail it. The one thing I wish I would see is, cutting off these and going back and sharpening them. And one of the things, actually, Rocket Jabroni dropped this knowledge on an early podcast. Speaking of which, I know those early podcasts seem like they're early, but if you guys watch them, those interviews that we did are full of little nuggets of knowledge, and they truly are. Like, I don't want to make it sound like that to get you guys to go watch them, but if you guys do, you guys will find a lot in there. And one of the things that I learned personally,
We've
from
had some
Rocket
amazing people on too with lots of knowledge. So
Biondo coming in with cracking crotch pieces, which I still don't have the balls to do because I'll botch it. I've tried it and I can't do it right. But the Green Lantern tattoo here, I just Rocket Jabroni usually likes to use like a needle tattoo or a needle tool or or X-Acto to go in and scrape some of the paint off to get that sharp line. And I think that's the only thing that's missing here. For the most part, he got a really perfect design. It's just the paint and the final end product is a little too rounded, too paint brushy, and that's tough for all of us because when you're try painting a square. You'll see how tough it is because a square is really tough to freehand, and and a square looks very industrial, like it's something that can't be freehanded. So it's a tough tattoo. This one was a huge favorite.
Shout out to Mr. Milk Customs, by the way.
Yes,
he is hilarious in the amateur chat and cracks me up all the time.
Me too. I never knew much of him, but after talking to him, he's a good guy. So everyone should go follow Mr. Milkman. He's funny. Doesn't take himself too seriously, which I really appreciate. The Lucho Punk man killed it here with his Darby Allin tattoo. Just look at
how hard it would be to do a tattoo on the hand like that. Oh my goodness,
so small. And these new hands by Mattel are more realistic and thus even smaller. But for him to draw it on there, and he didn't pick the big the big mitten hands that whoever comes with, right? like the ricochet hands that are ungodly huge. But he picked the nice hand mold and just nailed it. And you guys will see here the design.
Everybody had good things to say about it.
Yeah, you guys will. Okay, this doesn't do it justice. I'll go back. This is the real design here. This is a little blurry, but you see in theory, it's really blacked out. It's supposed to be like a skull in his hand, but you have the shaded and you have the lettering here. And then even Darby's real fingernail polish is chipped. So a lot of that, like I said, this is
you guys see the insanity that you put us through. I mean, these tattoos are just so great from the professionals and some of the amateurs, and it's just amazing. And we sat there for maybe 45 minutes, an hour debating on these because they're just so amazing, and everyone did such an incredible job.
Yeah, absolutely. I second that completely. And that being said, the reference picture that he used is like fresh, and when a tattoo's fresh, it's gonna be the blackest they'll ever be. And so that also really helps here, I think, because the reference really hit it spot on, and so he was able to as well.
How do you do that on a hand like that? That's incredible.
Just insane. Yeah, really impressive, Lucho Punk. Thank you for coming back, and hats off. This one here, I was a big fan of this one. You guys know BW is a friend of mine. This is an amazing tattoo. The actual tattoo artist that covered this up is Nico Hurtado, and he's an amazing color portrait tattoo artist. But when he thought about this concept, I remember reading his post, and he was like, The Rock just wanted something different, but like similar. And so it was like, you know what? Why don't we just have him punch the Brahma bull skull and have that be the new fucking tattoo? And sorry, I'll bleep that out. But I love it, because its execution looks so good. That being said, BEW nailed it. Look at how more realistic this color and the saturation looks from Mattel's sharp blacks. This looks like a real tattoo. And
yes, it does.
Man, the way he used the positive space and the negative space, I don't know if you guys took a lot of art theory, but when I'm talking about that, I'm meaning like the space that's occupied by paint here or in the space that's not. Because a lot of times the space that's left unpainted is just as vital to the overall piece as the pieces that are. And because it's a contrast thing. It's an overall picture thing. And so BW nailed it here. And the eyes on Nico's original tattoo really draw you in. Because you can see where the old tattoo is being hidden here, actually. And the eyes really offer that distraction where when you're looking at it, you're not going to be looking for the cover up. You're not going to be looking for the old Brahma bull. You're just drawn right to the eye. And BW nailed it right there. That being said, the only thing I wish is I wish that this eye was just up a little higher. I wish these horns were just up a little higher, because if this eye was right here, it would just be boom and just hypnotizing. But I absolutely love it. BW absolutely killed it. All the negative, look at these negative spaces here where you can see the rock skin. It's just,
and that's nitpicking.
wow.
But as great as all these customs were, we had to be a little bit nitpicky because, I mean,
right.
you want to give it to them all because they all did such an amazing job.
I mean, especially the pros. The pros, absolutely, every single one had an amazing tattoo, and this was my top one too. I think this was my second. It was torn between this one and another one for me, to be honest. And I love this one, and I still can't wait to have a rock with this tattoo on it. I don't know if we'll ever get it, but
hopefully they saturate it like he did, because that deep black on the other side of that, is horrible.
Well, you see right here, even I think you can kind of see where BW did the cover up at, which would be really cool, because I mean that's so real. That's so cool. I don't. That being said, here's another one that was on top of my list.
I see it now. It's going to be rock arms on figure giant.
Oh, don't give us any ideas. That's awesome, though. I love it. Oh, so we got the next one here from Fry-J. Fry-J absolutely killed it. This, I'll be honest, for full transparency, this was honestly my choice, my favorite. It's tough to tell, because it is a concept piece. But I'll just tell you quickly some of the things that I really appreciate from this piece. First of all, the composition of this, knowing Alberto's history, he's a third generation wrestler, right? And so, his dad and masks are throughout his family. Alberto is one of the ones that doesn't wear masks. But to see that as a back piece, I thought was so cool. I like the sharp background. I like the symmetry of the design here. This is a realistic tattoo background choice that you would do if you're going to make something pop against these portraits. And I think stylistically the red is one that not only complements the Mil Mascaras one, but also actually complements the Blue Demon, being as they're both, primary colors. That red and blue always go together. And man, such a great choice here. Secondly,
and again, he chose basic, so it didn't break up the design.
Right. And that being said here, you'll see what I really like here. This is really, really tough to do, guys. You see shading here on the mask, right up here, and that gives it the chrome look that he really has, because then the negative space, he actually made more like white, more Caucasian tone than even Alberto's to make that pop, like a real tattoo artist would try to get some of that silver in there. Even going down here, you see the shading between the drop shadow, where the mask will curve and the light will start to hit it, and these little striations here. I'm just gonna go all the way. Look at that. Those little striations in this mask that go ahead up to the side and slowly fade make this mask look like it's got a real light source. And that's ultimately the difference between a really good tattoo and a really, really, really good tattoo. The ones that have that light source and you can get the shading, you can get the details, just amazing. And man, I'm just so stoked on this tattoo. The chin, I love the way he drop shadowed the chin. I love the way he did shade up to the skin, and then he also put it here. It looks like did cut off.
That Reaper is going to call his tattoo artist after this and get it done on his back. I can tell.
But that's what's crazy. I mean, and to be fair, I mean one of my best friends is the tattoo artist. My buddy that did my whole leg. He's a color guy, and he did my whole leg, and so like I'm such a huge tattoo nerd that for me this challenge was really fun. And man, even these high edge highlighting on the
Santa.
Yeah, beautiful. I can't say it enough. All right, Fry-J though, amazing work, brother. And you know what? This is the last thing I'll say. I know you guys are getting tired of me putting over this tattoo, but Fry-J is on the amateur side. Holy shit. The challenge has been brought in. The gauntlet has been dropped. This is what he's coming to in the Showstopper Challenge, you guys. Watch out for Fry-J. Like, that's all I'll say.
Even the amateurs have been talking about how amazing he is.
Yeah.
His fellow people. They've been
They-
talking about it a lot. So there's a lot of talented people in this amateur group. I
so
mean,
much.
they're like professional amateurs almost because they're just so talented and amazing. And a lot of them are so young. To have that much talent at that young age and to be so passionate.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just exciting to see where the future is going to be. And this is MDT's. I love this one too. When he sent this, my biggest favorite thing about this is that he did match the saturation of the existing Mattel tattoos. He matched the blue up in the Hardy logo, and then he also matched the Picasso-esque feeling of Jeff's painting, which he gets tattooed, right? Like Jeff, I think probably is an artist that draws his own tattoos, so his tattoos definitely have a Jeff Hardy art style to them, and this is no different. You know, I'm beautiful execution. We talk about how the red and the blue complement each other, and again, he chose really similar tone or really complementary hues of the red and the blue. Big fan of this one too. The execution is really well.
Absolutely. Like you said, the blending of it was just perfect.
Yeah, really complicated stuff here. This is really hard to do, guys. Um, and then this being said, here this is Demon Punk or not Demon Punk, it's
You
Demon
have to-
Prince.
This is really hard because these pros are making it look easy,
Yo, man.
but it really isn't.
And see, you can see the different approaches even here taken. You can tell Demon Prince comes in with that with that outline, and I think that's probably the one thing that I wish I could have seen in My Damn Toys. But that being said, it looks nice. It looks like it blends because the dragon on his tattoo doesn't really have a harsh black outline either, so this really blends. That being said, when you're looking at the black outline here, the way Demon Prince copied it, I don't want to say copy in a bad way, but copied it in terms of was able to reproduce it, was just for me awe-inspiring. Man,
Look at that reference picture and look at the tattoo. I mean, wow.
I'm still losing words. Yeah, I mean, really, just look at the way the teeth look like they're shadowed from this big, bright backlight. He got that. Even and it's on across a piece of articulation to get this brighter red here to make these pop out even more so. Just wow, Demon Prince. Like, why don't you release even more work, bro? You're so damn good. Like,
And again, over articulation. That is hard to do, to line it up perfect, to get,
so good.
Yeah,
And
send me all your customs from now on.
yeah. But
I'll buy them all.
it's really beautiful too, and a lot of the judges love this one. Every judge had this one at one of the top ones too. The saturation here.
You see how hard our job was.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
The way he was able to kind of mute some of these tones and make it look like it's a healed tattoo is just beautiful. The ear gets cut off a little bit into the dragon, but that's not a big deal. That's actually Mattel's placement of the dragon is a little too far into the middle, but still, beautiful piece. And the black really makes those blues and I want to say like more of a gray blue, pop even more. So beautiful. I can't say this. I think this was. Oh, actually, I will say this. For me personally, this was my pick of the pros, and it was really, really tough. Still just looking at
we
this.
keep saying that because that's a compliment to the professionals that they made our job so difficult. So
yeah, and I don't want anyone to be mad at me because there's honestly all great tattoos. It's just the challenge of like trying to pick one, and we could only pick one because the the want to pick two was so strong in all of us, but we had to hold ourselves to one.
And it took a long time for us to narrow it down. So
Nick Johnson, wow, Nick's custom.
That looks
toys.
like an actual tattoo. I mean,
yeah,
that's the best compliment I can give it. He saturated it right, proper colors. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect shading. He had the base tone colored, and then he's also got a custom sculpted torso. Not that we're taking that into consideration, but it definitely gives him a different playing field when he's the one that painted the underlying tone, you know? The way the line work is done is very tattoo-ish. I love it. I mean, flawlessly done from Nick as well. The details are just so intricate. You can see the little cherry blossom, or the little petals there. I mean, amazing. Wow. And the skin tone, I mean, to see the little specks on the skin tone bounce off against this work that looks like it took hours, you know, multiple sittings to complete. Like in real life, a real tattoo. This looks just as dedicated in terms of how much time it probably took Nick to paint this. I don't want to ask.
Exactly. But I like how he set the playing field for himself by painting that undertone.
Yeah, really.
Body. That's a smart thing to do.
That's what I did with my.
It's the small things you do that are going to get you ahead.
Yeah, that's what I did with my pentagons. I had based them first before I put on the decal. And then when I put on the decal, then I would go over that with a really reduced tone of that skin tone. Really reduced, like a 7-to-1 ratio of reducer, and it would just come out with a really, really transparent skin tone that I would lay on top. And it sets in, so it kind of like marries between it bookends the decal layer. Never mind here, I won't get off track though. Even more so. This one, I can't remember. This one was, I can't remember. I just need to think here. I believe this is from the Blackjack Ripper. He did a great job too for being a free-handed drawing the GI. This is in the professional bracket for drawing the Cobra tattoo and then the Pepsi one. Very nicely well done. Blends right into the Mattel's one. There's really no qualms here. This might not be as symmetrical. But that's really nitpicky. But like I said, great work. Great work, yeah, Blackjack Ripper.
And great to complement the existing tattoo.
Yeah, really. I mean, now he's complete. This one is going for a foot tattoo on the calf here. I really like how that turned out. That's Ramos figures. Turned out nice. A little bit inconsistent line work here. But that's the challenge, That's what's really tough is to get that really thin line. It looks like your paint might be on a little thick. You might. That's why, when you're watering them down and stuff, it's almost easier to do a really thin layer that it's going to be tight, and then just start climbing on top of that, putting in darker over. But that's the difference between another difference between a pro and from an amateur, just from the way you approach it, is how long you're willing to dedicate on some of these body parts. When I first started, I would just breeze through some of these. Now, a head, for me, the reason I don't sell painted heads is because I take forever to paint a head. And my heads, I'd say, are probably 60% of the time spent on the figure is spent for me on the head. So when someone's like, I finished this custom in one day, it's like, okay, you must have just had a cast and throw a paint job on it. For me, to do a head and paint the eyes and stuff, that takes one day to do one, So for me, but yeah, nicely.
Another thing is, this is probably the first time some people have done this. With repetition, practice,
yeah.
Doing it over and over, they're just gonna get better and better. So
absolutely, great. That's definitely needs to be said. That's true. You guys will only get better from here. This is a Moxley tattoo from Megatron. This is an amateur bracket. It leaves a little bit to be desired, but I can see it's an honest attempt. I really appreciate the placement, the size. Just going forward, though, one of the things you're going to want to watch out, not that this counts at all, the painting on the figures, but, how clean you guys make your lines and how much, should I say, kabuki-ish? Kabukiness is on the outside of your tattoo. Kind of will distract from it, or outside the lines. But all in all, really good attempt. I appreciate you trying. KVD had his little brother paint over it. I wanted to include it just because he did finish it, but it got painted over. This was gonna be Rey Mysterio's tattoo. This was from Burt Figs. Pretty good placement. This is where almost articulation does help, because when an articulated ball joint for the shoulder, now you're limited to that space, so you kind of can size it a little better. That being said, it's a tough tattoo. You can see, though, the lines are almost a little too thick, and that's not a bad thing, though, So this is my tattoo. We were talking to the judges. So that being said, here, wow. Wow, where do we go?
Get it together, Mad Reaper.
So, the judging.
I was blown away by all these entries, and
I was
everyone put in solid efforts, and I really appreciate that. And it's a tough thing to do. We can't say that enough, to get everything just perfect. And a lot of the times this is the first time people have attempted a tattoo. Like Mad Reaper says, he uses decals, so. And there's nothing wrong with using decals.
No,
but
it's a challenge.
Challenge challenge is.
And so that being said, it was really tough for us for the amateurs. A lot of, I think who it came down to, we'll say the final two. It was really torn for us. Between, I think it was like a split decision actually between Fry J and Strong Style Customs. And so Frage, you see, was the luchador back piece, and then Strong Style being the luchador piece. This was actually really tough for the judges here. It was a 3-2, but the decision went to Strong Style. So Strong Style Customs, round of applause. The Luchasaurus tattoo gets the pass, and so you'll get to we'll have Pat will reach out. We'll reach out to you through the Custom Underground page, and we'll let you know which advantage you want, and let everyone else know once you get your choice picked. And then for the pros was super tough. I think as soon as I started sending the professional picks, Rocket Jabroni was like, okay, never mind, I don't want to be a judge, And that's what's so tough, We're friends with so many of you guys, and it's also tough because we're definitely staying impartial. We're not biased. We're trying to help everyone and just give our input because none of us are perfect. All of us would struggle.
But you saw those entries. Imagine if you were a judge and you had to judge between all those. Yeah. I mean, you'd be pulling your hair out. You'd be every single one. Someone in the judging made a strong case for, and it was so hard to pick.
Yeah, actually, it really.
And so kudos to everyone in the professionals who submitted.
That being said, on the pros, it came down for us down to 2, really. BWs all of them were so tough, actually. I can't say it came down to 2.
This is like after 30, 40 minutes of debate.
Yeah.
At least.
It didn't come down to 2. We were first to pick one. And that's what was tough because everyone was so amazing. Turbo Toys was on top of mine with the...
We're having conversations, and I think I know who I want, but then Matt Reaper will say something, and I'm like, that's a really good point. Maybe I'll switch, and then Showstopper comes in, and then NWF and Rocket Jabroni, and it was tough.
It is really tough, and at the end of the day, all of them were notable standouts. It came down to who did it come down to? It came down to, or it was a breaker between Lucho Punk and Demon Prince. Because there's votes all over the place, but this is really where it came down to at the end. And, man, not to take anything away from anyone else, but those two, Lucho Punk's hand of Darby Allin was really tough. And then Demon Prince's Jeff Hardy, I think, was just insane. And actually, Demon Prince ended up winning that one. So by split decision, actually. So, yeah, congrats to Demon Prince as well.
Well deserved. Everyone, thank you. Your submissions were amazing.
Yeah.
So it's not a knock on anybody who didn't win because this was one of the toughest things we had to do as a judge so far.
And I got that right? I mean, Demon Prince did end up getting the win, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. So, wow, just amazing. And so we'll reach out to both of you guys, figure out what you guys' choices for the advantage. And that being said, here, we're going to announce... Not right now. I'll let Pat, he's a much better talker than me, do the introduction. But we're going to announce the next round's category here. So, chosen one.
So here we go. Who's excited? No, seriously. In chat for the past week, everyone in the pros and the amateurs have been saying, what's the category? What's the category? What's the category? When are we going to find out? When are we going to find out? So here it is. Masked wrestlers.
Masked wrestlers. It's got to be a real masked wrestler. Right? No face paint. Real masked wrestler. No fantasy ones. And this is tough because, I feel like everyone's going to hate and blame the Mad Reaper if they really hate making masks or anything. But,
we are all fans of luchadors and masked wrestlers. Yeah. I'm a huge fan. Well, we have the Custom Underground, which is, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so we're huge luchador fans, and the pros, Rocky Jabroni and NWF did actually get a little bit of a say in this, and they were like, yeah, masked wrestler, because they had to do one too, and so we're really excited to see that. So
they're like, that's what we were thinking. So
yeah.
It all came together perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be a masked wrestler. You're going to have 2 weeks from today.
Or maybe a little extra time if you won.
Right, or maybe a little extra time. So, right here where we're at with what's the date?
And that's
today?
A tough decision. Do I want to try to pick a better opponent, or do I want to get the extra time? You got some decisions ahead of you, so
right. And so 2 weeks from now, it'll be due on the 14th, so we'll make it the 14th at midnight going into the 15th. On April 15th. And then, so if someone does pick the 72
Central
hours...
Standard Time, USA.
Right, yep, Central Time, USA. And if someone does pick the 72 hours, then they would actually have until the 17th to submit. So you can see where that would be a beneficial one if you were, if you wanted a little bit more, or if you wanted to sneak out a little edge. Or maybe you got matched up against one of these guys that did submit a challenge, and you're like, maybe I don't want some of that smoke. I don't know. And you might want to switch. So the choice is yours, but the next category will be masked wrestlers. And so you guys will do a whole figure. The way these rounds will go, this is more pertinent to our scorecards that we discussed last round. But this is the first official one, so everyone's going to be doing a masked wrestler, no matter where you're at on the bracket.
Yeah. So overall presentation, painting skills, likeness originality, complexity, and workmanship. Those are your categories that we're going to be judging on.
Yep. So that should be all the details. If not, we'll message you guys in the chat or the group
And I
chats.
encourage everyone, NWF, Rocket Jabroni, Showstopper Customs,
Yep.
sometimes, and Matt, take advantage, soak in their nuggets of knowledge, because that is a rare thing to have so many people available to you. And those amateurs are crazy. Yesterday, I was gone for 20 minutes. I came back, 98 notifications.
Yeah, I'm excited. So we'll see you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Thank you for the kind words on our first episode. The Real Chosen One, Mad Reaper. Feels good to be back. I think we're hitting our stride. So we've hit our stride. So see you guys next week. Or yeah, right?
See you next week.
All right, bye guys.
Custom Wonder